I'm doing is Telling My Mother by Sharon Olds, and it's as follows. Outside her window, a cypress, under the weight of the Pacific wind, was bending luxuriously, to tell my mother that my husband is leaving me. I took her on a walk, taking her fleshless hand like a passerine's claw. I bought her a donut and a hairnet. I fed her. On the gnarled magnolia, in the fog, the blossoms and buds were like all the moons in one night. Full, gibbous, crescent. I'd practiced the speech, bringing her up toward the truth slowly, preparing her. And the moment I told her, she looked at me in shock and dismay. "But when will I ever see him again?" she cried out. I held hands with her and steadied us, joking. Above her spruce, through the coastal mist, for a moment, a small, dry, sandy, glistering star. Then I felt in my whole body for a second that I have not loved enough. I could almost see my husband's long shape wraithing up. I did not know him. I did not work not to lose him. And I lost him. And I've told my mother. And it's clear from her harrowed, sorrowing cheeks and childhood mountain lake eyes that she loves me. So the men are gone, and I'm back with Mom. I always feared this would happen, and I thought it would be pure horror. But it's just home, Mom's house and garden. Earth, olive and willow, beech, orchid, and the paperweight dusted with opal. Inside it, the arms of a nebula raking its heavens with a soft screaming. So I really like this poem for a couple of reasons, but first I'll talk about the technical levels. I think that Sharon Olds is a very detailed style in just her imagery. That's just the way she writes, and I think that works on a couple levels here because she is just a woman telling her mother about how her husband is leaving her. And you would imagine a woman in that position would be very nervous. She's looking around, she's noticing things that she normally wouldn't. Like, for example, how the trees are bending around her. She is noticing the Pacific wind. She is noticing the gnarled magnolia and the blossoms and buds on it. And I think that is just very telling of her emotional state right now. She's just noticing everything. It's almost a traumatic moment for her. And it also ties into the nostalgic feelings that she has about home later in the poem, where she realizes that it's not horrible to be back at home with her mother again. You hear all of this description, and it very much amounts to what her idea of home is and what makes it home to her. And also, just from a technical perspective, you can see her relationship with her mother very clearly, which I appreciate because her mother is one of the main focuses of this poem, and it should show the complexity of their relationship. She talks about how she bought her mother the donut. She took her on a walk. They didn't go on a walk together. She took her on a walk. She is the one taking her arm like a passerine claw, her fleshless claw of a hand. And I think this ties into the idea that her mother is elderly and frail, and she is worried about how this news about her divorce will affect her mother. And she even talks about how after she tells her mother, she's the one steadying them, joking about it when her mother is concerned. And I think that was really telling because it shows how she is taking care of her mother despite the fact that she's the one getting divorced. And even later you can see she has this kind of inward focus, blaming herself for everything, because she mentions how the reason her husband left her is because she did not work not to lose him, and she lost him because of that. And I think that's really telling about her character, that when her husband is leaving her for another woman after 32 years of marriage, she is comforting her mother and saying, this is my fault for not working not to lose him, for expecting him to stay with me. And I think that that's just a way that she's dealing with it. She's dealing with it by focusing inward and by taking care of everyone else. And I relate to this very much personally because my parents have been through many divorces, and I myself am scared about going back to my mom's house and having all the men in my life leave me. But I think that Sharon Olds comes to this really beautiful conclusion that it's not a bad thing to have to fall back on family, that home is a really beautiful thing. And I thought that was really beautiful, and it resonated a lot with me. Even more so, I resonate with her because I felt like the caretaker as well when my parents got divorced, because I was the one keeping it together. My mom would ask me for advice, my sister, everyone went to me, so I identify very much with that weight of being the one keeping it together. Thank you.